In the previous video, this is where we left off with our HTML page, and we're going to actually open up a page that's directly from the link that I give you guys in the description below. But I really wanted to show you how you can actually take this button and actually change an image or add an image or something like that. And it's pretty straightforward. We just need to actually create a box and change the image source of that box, but we want a special kind of box. We don't want just a p tag, and we don't just want a div here. What we're going to want is an image box. So let's say I say img, and that's my box. And I'm using box instead of tags just for the analogy that I gave in the previous video. And I'm going to call that image, and then the source of that image for now is going to be some image that I pull up. Let me get an image here. Alright, so that should be inside of my folder now. So now when I go to source, I can go ahead and choose that Mars image, and then I'm going to close it. So that's the first thing. Let me refresh this, and I have the Mars image there. I'm going to need a second image. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this other image in there so I can have this other image in there and be able to use it for the example. So now that I have this image in here, what I want to be able to do is go ahead and grab that on the button click. So I'm going to get the element by ID, and I already gave this the ID of image. So I have that, and let me just call this something more distinct. I'm going to say image A. And now from there, what do I want to access? Well, I don't want to access the inner text of the image. I want to access the source property of this image. And then I'm going to say that source will equal whatever image that I want from here. So it's almost the same as me doing this. Source equals, I'll put the quotes there, and let's say if I said logo, okay? So it's the same as me doing this, except I'm doing it here with the JavaScript. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Let's see if this works. Here's the button. The button was pushed all the way down because the image is over here. So when I click on that, you can see all this works. I'm going to refresh it again. I click on that button and I change the image. So there's a lot you can do with this. You want to go ahead and use your imagination as to how you want to use it. But I really wanted to show you that because of the last video, we went a little bit too long and I couldn't show you then. So what we want to now do is download that file that I gave you guys for that rendered scenes folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to file, and I'm going to open a folder, and I am going to go to my desktop because that's where I saved mine. So you can just go wherever you saved yours. And inside of there, you're going to see a JS folder, and that JS folder will have all your JavaScript in there. It'll have all your JavaScript in there. Then you have your index folder, which has all the links to the JavaScript, the styles, and the body. Now, this JavaScript here will do the same thing as this JavaScript here. Now, this JavaScript here is linked to a web repository that's giving us access to the JavaScript, the same as this file here gives us access to this JavaScript. The only difference here is that you want to see this part here as a link to someone else's files and folders, Babylon's folders and files and classes that we're able to use inside of our application, no matter where it is online. The only thing is you have to have access to the internet because it's grabbing the code from the internet, and we're actually able to use that in our document. What we want to be able to do with this folder is just understand the elements of this folder, this render scenes folder. So here we have our title, right? And then we have this babylon.js. This is a comment. And then we have these links here. So understand that those are links to those folders. Then we have right here embedded is our styles. So the first thing I really want to do right now is I'm going to remove these styles from here and put them in their own sheet. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call that my style. And then I'm going to put .css at the end of that. So I'm going to go now to my index. And before I do anything, I want to show you what this actually looks like, because this index is pulling something from this Babylon.js, which is JavaScript that we talked about in the previous video. And this down here, this source.js.apps, this js/apps.js, is the script that we have that actually is creating a scene for us in 3D using these libraries here. So without these libraries, we'll have an issue with our .js working. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. I'm going to right click on this first before I even do the styles. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to open view in browser. All right. So this is what I have here. It's a 3D image in a 3D scene. You can move around in this scene. It's pretty cool. So even without the styles, let me remove the styles here. Save that and refresh. So you see, without the styles, this is how it's going to look. So what we want to now do is we want to understand that these styles here is inside the document, this one index document, but we're going to take it out and put it in its own. So I wanted to show you how it looks without the styles, so you can know when we add the styles that it's actually working. So see, this is how the styles tags look. I'm removing those styles tags and I'm saving this index. And then I'm going to refresh this page to make sure it still is the same, right? See, I can still move it around and stuff like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to my style sheet, and I'm going to paste those styles in there, just like that. I'm going to save that. It still should not work because I have no connections to that style sheet. Now what I want to be able to do is get a direct connection to that style sheet. And the way you do that is you're going to use the links tag. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type link, and that'll be style sheet. The type will, and CSS, and the link will be my style.css. And now I can close that and save that. So now when I refresh this, you'll see we have our styles back, and it's in a separate sheet, but we also have, you know, our index page a lot cleaner. Now what I want to do is break this part down for us. Inside of our body, we also should know now in our body is where our HTML tags go. All our HTML goes. All of this is HTML tags, but I'm saying our main document HTML will go here. You'll notice that I have a script tag here. These script tags are inside of the head because I need these available before the application runs. So that's why they're up here. This one I need inside of the application because this is creating the scene that I want. And as you can see here, I have a JS folder. Here's my JS folder. Inside that JS folder, I have something called app.js, which is here's app.js, which will run when the body is available. So that's why it's here. As you can see down here, also I have another script running, and I put it in the scripts tag. All this is in the body. And this is an event listener needed for me to initialize my application here. So when I go to look at app.js, you'll see I have all of my rendered elements here, and all of this is in JavaScript, but it's also using all the elements that are being brought to me from babylons.js.com's different libraries. Now, We could download these libraries and actually have them as part of our application, so that way it doesn't matter whether you're online or not. So that'll be completely up to you. But just understand that it is exactly the same thing as me accessing this from someone else's server or accessing it from mine. The only advantage of accessing it from their server is that every time there's an update, your website is updated as well. You don't have to go download another file and all that other stuff. So if you wanted it encapsulated, then you would download it and use it, link it to your own file that you have here. So the idea here, if you wanted this to kind of be part of a website, you know, you can go up here and add a list, an unordered list. And I'm gonna put a list item in there. And that item will be page 2. And maybe I'll have home page or something like that. You can decide. Go ahead and add it. And then this one down here, page 2, will be to some other page. Let's say my 3D page. All right, so now when I refresh this, you'll see how I have my menu up here, right? I have my home page and I have my 3D page. My home page, my 3D page goes to the same place. Well, no, the 3D page doesn't go anywhere. Let me put that back. I'm gonna create a new file, and I'm gonna call this, actually, let me call this, I'm gonna call this one, I'm gonna rename this one to 3D. That's gonna be my 3D page. And then I'm gonna make a new file, and I'm gonna call this my index. In my index page, I'm just gonna paste some boilerplate HTML here. And in this HTML, what I'm going to want is this same menu that I have here. All right, so that looks fine. So now this one right here will go to my index page right here, my home page, and this one's go to the 3D. I'm gonna put a little bar there just so there's some space. So now when I refresh this, I have my index page, which there's nothing on it. This is my home page, and maybe I should put something in there just so we can all see. All right, so there's something here. This is my index page. Now I'm going to go to my 3D page, and as you can see, I can go back and forth between my home page and my 3D page. So I actually have added 3D to my web browser. Now, what I want to do to make this my own is I'm going to go here to this apps.js file that I have up in here. And don't worry about understanding all of this right now. Just understand that this is JavaScript, and it's connecting to those classes, those libraries that we installed here, or we linked to here, and we're using that to code the 3D. The other thing you just need to understand is the way we're getting access to this file here is that we're running it when the browser starts up the body tag, and that's going to be right here. And the other thing you need to understand is that we are putting everything inside of this canvas. See how the canvas has an opening closing tag? We are accessing this canvas right here inside of this code by this part right here. Where is it? Right up here. We're grabbing the canvas right here. So every time we reference the canvas, that's what we are referencing, and that's how we're putting things inside of the canvas. So let's look at this real quick. First of all, we start an engine. This is a 3D engine. Then we create a camera. We can name this camera anything we want. However, we can also change the position of this camera. So let's say if I put 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to save that. And this is what you want to do. You want to experiment with all of this. I'm going to hit Control S to save it. And I'm going to refresh this. And what you'll notice is, look at the camera. It's right on top because what we're looking at, X, Y, and Z, right? So for me to put that back, I'm going to refresh that and save it and refresh this. And you can see it there. So let me increment this a little further to 0. So I'm going to go there, save it. And as you can see, I'm getting closer and closer and closer. So if you had a button that would actually put a variable up in here, there's a lot you can do with this to have fun with it. And that's what you want to do with this. You want to add it to whatever you're working on. And you want to experiment with this. Experiment to the point to where you go down here. I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to add another sphere. And I'm going to change the size of that. And I can even change the size of this one. Okay, so now I have another sphere. Let me refresh that. Look at that. I have 2 spheres. So I would like you to fool around with this. Now I have the spheres with the Y position here. Okay, I can even change the Y position to each sphere. And I can also take that sphere and change the X position. So let me change the X position equals 1, 3, something a little different. And look at that. That sphere changed the X position. Now, you notice it didn't change this X position. Because when you're talking about this part right here, it's directly after the last sphere. So in order for me to manipulate this one, I would have to do something like this. So now this sphere is going to react to this one, and this sphere is going to react to this one. So you see that. So it's immediately after the declaration where you tell the sphere what to do, and immediately after this declaration you tell the sphere what to do. So what I'm suggesting to you now, add your links to whatever project you're working on, just like I did. And then you want to go ahead and start manipulating this code, understanding the anatomy of everything that we just did. Not necessarily understanding every single detail. Just understand how you want to manipulate it and how you need to add it to your project. And how we were able to separate that CSS into its own file. So if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you like this video. And I'll see you guys next time.